Welcome to the Top Listing Agent Show, the place to be to stay on the cutting edge of what it takes to sell more homes in less time. Each week, your host, Chadi Bazzi, will share with you the best skill sets, systems, and strategies so you can become a top listing agent. And now, let the show begin.
All right, welcome to the Top Listing Agent Show. This is Chadi Bazzi. I'm very excited today, as I'm always very excited, especially when I got someone with me who I admire and have a lot of respect for, and definitely has a lot of insights and strategies that he is going to share with you to make your life a lot better and help you become a top listing agent. So I introduce to you the one, the only, Jessie Garcia.
Hey, Chadi, thanks very much for calling me out. And like I said, I'm an open book, so go ahead, shoot.
Awesome, man. Well, hey, welcome to the show, my brother. So why don't you just, in 90 seconds or less, tell us who you are, how long you've been selling real estate, where do you work, and all that good stuff.
Okay, so Gateway Home Services, I actually started the company about 2.5 years ago. Riverside, San Bernardino, and Ontario. Before that, just so you know, I've been in the business for about 15 years. Okay. I did about 370 transactions, all REO. Whoa. Right after REO, 2009 to about 12, I did about 220 buy and holds. And then in the mix of that, a little bit over 200 flips.
What? Buy and holds?
Buy and holds, Chinese money.
Wow, okay. That's a lot.
And then where I started was Mike Ferry 101. My coach was Bill Pipes for about 2.5, 3 years. Amazing. And did NLP with Matt. So, this was when, he started off on his own. And then I just been very low key.
Low key? What do you mean low key?
I just grind. I just work. So, I catch waves for a living. It just depends what cycle we're in. I developed one of the programs where we did about 220 short sales in 07 to 08 with one of my closest friends, Eric Brown and Corona. But I'm the kind of guy that I just do volume. So I just want to, find out a way that we can just shorten the time and work with what works right now.
So Jessie, would that be considered, would the right word behind that be, is you're a strategist?
I would say that. I would say that's my focus point. So, I like listening to people. I like to be able to see around the curve before we get to the curve.
And most people don't listen, and they don't even know what road they're traveling. Therefore, they have no strategy, and they may end up somewhere good, but most times they don't.
That's right. Some people just can't make it through the turn and just end up going right over the ledge.
Got it. So would you consider yourself to be more of a buyer's agent or a listing agent?
It depends on the season. So
like currently now in the last, year and a half kind of thing, 2017, 2018. Listing. Okay.
So yeah, if people look us up on Zillow, we're predominantly a listing company or listings.
Got it. So what do you guys do to generate listings?
So we work off of one system. We work off of just the Mojo dialer, just like everyone else. But the one thing that's different, that's the vehicle. It's all about the gas that we put in the tank. And that is very specific data. So the data, I'll just give you one little example here. I'll go back 10 or 15 years with people that haven't touched their mortgage. When they purchased their home, they're probably in their mid-30s, and I'm going after them when they're now like 52, 53. Mm-hmm. The kids are already out of the home. They're now looking, to downsize, and that's the target. So that is, one of the very most specific, most successful, targets that we're basically going after at the time being. And you could do NODs. There's a whole nother, spec for that as well. But once again, just like the way that we work, it's letting people know where they're going. I could sell any house, but you know what? If they don't know where they're going to land, they're not selling.
Bingo.
So, my job is to paint the picture, and I'm a very good artist.
Awesome. I love that. My job is to paint a good picture, and I am a very good artist. Okay, so the phone is basically your best friend.
My threat, yes.
Okay.
So if I'm on the phone, it's a done deal.
Okay, so who are you calling specifically do you call every single day?
Every day, every day. I just actually talked about this at lunch earlier today. I dial for an hour a day. So an hour a day, makes the bills go away.
Yeah.
And the weirdest part is people tell me, how can you build a successful business with just 1 hour a day? Now, it's all on how you start it. So basically, it's that 1 hour that just compounds, and you end up, flipping. And what I mean flipping is, I only need to dial 1 hour, but what I didn't tell you, I spend about 2 to 3 hours on follow-up. So once you build that database that's, compounded, switch. And the 1 hour is the 1 hour to be able to cold call, but that's just to replenish what I'm taking out.
You're on the funnel.
Yeah. Oh, I have the biggest funnel, and everyone here at the company works off the same funnel.
Wow, I love it. And is there a specific category of people that you guys call, like maybe for sale by owners or expireds, or during your 1 hour, do you just do circle dialing?
I call the person that no one is calling. I'm the first guy at the door.
Okay.
So I don't do Red X. I don't do any specific targeted data because of the fact that what I have is, you can't pay for it. And if you do, I don't want to be the 15th person on the door. The way that we work, or our model is, we take the needle out of the haystack.
Yes.
And I stack a ton of needles. Once again, I compound the amount of needles to get us closer to the deal.
I love it. I love it. I love your way of thinking. Now, you've been in the business for about 15 years. Did you ever call them for sell by owners and expireds?
Expireds. I started off, funny you mentioned that. I just was actually on a panel on Monday of last week for Jumpstart, Dan Smith.
Okay.
So Dan Smith, I was there with Jeff Quinton, Dan Smith, and myself. And what we used to focus on was, we had an analog dialer system where it was like the beep, and we used to have to unhook our phones, and we had 2 separate headsets. Like, we're the originals.
Yeah.
And it was pretty cool to be able to talk to these guys, because no one knew who we are. Everyone's like, how did you guys run these numbers that you guys did? And like I tell everyone, I don't care about numbers. I care about, the deals. Yeah. And that's where, when we used to focus, when I started the business, I was 20 years old. There was no chance in, on the world that I could list like a $400,000 or $500,000, property and show up. And I had no, facial hair at that time. Right. So what I used to do is, I used to hire, the older man at the office that wasn't doing anything. And I used to pay him like 10 or 15%. And the way that I used to structure it was, I would get on the phone, I would do the expired listing, I would make the appointment. They thought I was a telemarketer. I would show up to the front door and I would say, Mike, all you need to do is just introduce me and say that I'm brand new and that I'm going to go ahead and run the show and see how I go. And all you have to say is, if you feel like you're get a little hiccup, then I'll jump in. He never had to jump in, but the whole thing was that at that point in my career, I had to disguise myself, because people go off of what, the appearance is. Once they heard me speak, because I knew what to say, when to say it, and how to say it, well, it was a done deal at that point. But that was one of the things I had to do early on to just get in the door. Wow. And now I'm much older and I happen to have gray hair, so I just go to the appointment direct.
Wow. And here's the thing. I think I hit the nail on the head earlier when I called you a strategist, because that is a strategy in itself. Because see, most people, what they do, Jesse, is they take a look at, what's missing, and then they focus so much on what's missing to the point that it cripples them from taking a specific action. you took a look at, what's missing, but then you took a look at, how can I fill in that gap?
Right. Right. And once again, my belief system has always been great. So it wasn't that I didn't believe I can sell their home. It wasn't believe that I wasn't good enough to do it, and it wasn't mean that my mindset wasn't right. But it was just one of those things that their mindset wasn't right. But it wasn't going to stop me from achieving, my goal.
Okay,
and
you have a mindset like you have, for the average person that's listening or watching this video, they're like, how could I become like that? I mean, were you born that way? Did you have to, develop that muscle? I mean, what do you constantly do to work on your mind so you could have that undeniable belief in yourself? Because when you have that undeniable belief in yourself and you show up with conviction, you show up with the right energy, you show up with leadership. Leadership is just radiates out of you, and then people can't help but to want to do business with you. So how do you develop that muscle?
I started early on. First things first, I came from a servicing background in addition to a little law enforcement. So the command presence is just second nature, and taking control. So that's the whole thing about this business. Take control. If you take control, you come across as authority. You come across as confident, not cocky, just confident. And those are the things where, yes, it's that muscle that you develop over time. I went to, I think it was like 2021, I did my first Unleash the Power Within. And that right there, I'll tell you, just broke barriers that I didn't even know I had at that particular time. But refreshing courses, like recently, I just went to one of my friends, Marshall Silver, Turning Point.
Oh my God! You just mentioned like one of my godfathers. I am such a big fan of Marshall Silver. I've been at a seminar. I did the fire thing with him, 8 Fire. He's from Michigan, like I'm from Michigan. A lot of people don't know who Marshall Silver is, and I think he's one of the biggest kept secrets. He is the ultimate closer. I read his book a long time ago, Passion, Power.
Yep.
I recommend that book to every single person. So keep going.
I'm part of his inner circle.
Whoa. You've been there, 17,000 square foot mansion in Vegas yet, or not yet?
That's matter of fact, I'm going back at the end of the month. So, yeah. So part of the inner circle with them, great mastermind. Once again, like you said, the greats, they're not made public. You know what I mean? And the exposure is not there. But like I said, and I tell everyone, I built my business model because of the fact that I wanted to give my kids something I didn't have, and that's my parents' attention. That's the biggest misconception that we have in this industry, where we get here because we want to do our own schedule, our own time, but here's the thing, you're going to either lose one or the other. And I wanted to make sure that I had something. So I hustled for, 10 plus years. And now, I literally retired about 2.5 years ago, out from the business. And one of my good friends, which I'm sure is going to see this podcast or the interview, he told me, he's like, Jesse, don't be a waste of talent. And that resonated. But you know what? I said, it doesn't matter. I want to be there for my kids. I want to make sure that I pick them up, take them off. And I basically said, the only way that I'll come back is if I build something that will allow not just myself, everyone at the company, be able to live with those type of rules where I can actually turn it off. Everyone in the business, that's the biggest thing they suffer. Everyone knows how to turn it on, but no one, or a lot of us, don't know how to turn it off. And that's one of the things that I can basically tell you that I've mastered with the company, is that I come in at 10, I leave by 4.
Wow.
And that's the whole goal of what we got in the business for.
Built it that way.
That's right.
Right now that says, I want to be like Jesse, and they're not they don't have your mindset, they don't have your work ethic, they don't have their skill set, they haven't invested in themselves and coaching and training and reading and doing all that work that we had to do to get to where we at, and they want to model where you're at right now. And I think what they don't get is that they have to go through they have to model who you were back
Right.
then, not
Well,
who you are right now.
And Marshall says it best. If you want to be successful, you have to have or follow someone that started worse than where you are at today.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's your leadership part, and that's where, like, I tell people, I'm an open book. All you have to do is ask. We all have a story, we all have a past. And like I said, going back to, if we can help you save time. So yes, you do need coaching. Absolutely, Chazzy. What you do is amazing. You put people in the right mindset. You tell them, based on all your experiences from people that you speak to day in, day out, who better than a person like you for somebody to go ahead and follow, because of the fact that you can help them get to the finish line quicker. It took me 15 years. And if I can teach someone and help them get there in 10, 7, 5, then you win. That's the name of the game. So yes.
So I want to shift gears a little bit.
Sure.
Before our time is up, couple of different things. Number one, I want to say I appreciate you being an open book, because there's so many people that make it to the top, and then what they want to do is they want to seal their secrets, because and what people don't get is that the biggest one of the more important laws of the universe to give you the abundance that you require is to activate the law of contribution. And that's what you're doing right here. And let's give a little bit more, and I'm going to get very specific. I'm going to ask you for one tip on 3 different categories that you could give a person who is watching this and or listening to this. What is one tip you can give to someone to unleash the power within and get their mind right? Just one tip.
So the one tip that I would say is, you have to know where you are. You have to know, where you are and where you want to get to.
Okay, so self-awareness of where you're at right now, and then where's your ending point? Where are you traveling to? Because you're traveling whether you know it or not. Okay, so
right.
Say about that. Anything more specific about that?
Most importantly is, you have to figure out the way of how to get there. So don't be afraid of asking questions. Hey, Jesse, how did you get to where you are at? So the best advice that I have, a little off the subject. About a month and a half ago, I went to go get a haircut, and there was a mom with her son and her daughter, and I didn't know they were homeless. Okay, and they came up to me while the little boy just took off like a rocket, and the little girl, she came over to me and she said, excuse me, I do you speak English? And yes, mom was Hispanic, and she says, I need, would you have some money for food? Would you have some money for a ride? And I normally don't carry cash, so I truly believe that everything happens for a reason. That day I had money, and this is the whole thing, going with what you just asked. The mom told me in Spanish, I'm so sorry that I had to ask you for this. My son went away because he was ashamed, that we have to ask for help. I looked at the little girl. I had like $300. I just rolled it up and I handed it right over. Wow. Not to do a good deed, but I just told the girl this: do not ever stop asking for help.
Wow, it gave me the chills all over my body, man. You're about to put tears in my eyes.
I cried that day, Chadi. And I'm choked up now because, once again, if you want it in life, ask for it. You don't know who you're standing next to. You don't know whose shoes or who's been in your shoes, but that's the whole reason. Where if you're allowed or able to save time, I know for a fact that little girl, she's gonna become somebody.
Yeah.
She's going to become somebody, and not because, it's because that girl had the guts, because she knew that she needed to eat. She wasn't afraid to ask. Yeah. So if you need to eat, ask.
And you know what? The majority of the people watching this probably do need to eat, because they don't know where their freaking damn paycheck is coming from. And then,
Right.
it's like, for asking for help, when if you don't ask, you're not going to get.
No,
Nobody
no.
knows.
Right.
Well, thank you very much for sharing that mindset tip. What about a tip on skills? What is one skill that every single person must develop in order for them to become, top agent, top listing agent, etc.?
You have to learn how to listen.
Mm.
We know scripts. Just because we know scripts, it doesn't mean that you just go out and just start shooting. Boom, 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 boom. You're supposed to ask a question and shut up. I'm sorry I have to say it that way. Be quiet. That question, that answer is going to lead you to the next question. Be quiet. That will lead you to the next question. By the end of the conversation, you have all those answers. That's your ammunition. That is your why. That is why they're going to sell their home. You told me you needed to be out by this. You told me you didn't like this neighborhood anymore. You told me that you need to be closer to your job so that you can spend more time with and I always stop. People, my skill set is I will start a conversation. I'll say, you know what I mean? And I'll let them answer because it came out of their mouth, not mine.
Bingo.
But, so the biggest skill set is know your scripts, know what you internalize them, make them yours. But when you're asking the question,
listen. One of the things that I say in my listings on demand training, by the way, for those of you who are watching this video, if you haven't already been to toplistingagentwebinar.com, you definitely want to go there and get on a complimentary training with me. One of the things that I teach in my listings on demand training, Jessie, is that your listening is the foundation to all your powers of influence. That's the foundation to all your powers of influence. And I say, especially when you are face-to-face, belly-to-belly with people, I say, listen with your ears and hear with your eyes, matching the eye contact with it. Let people know that they are really being heard. And this is so huge, not only in the perspective of following a script and a dialogue, it's in the perspective of really understanding common human behavior. And the time and age that we live in right now, we live in a time where people are begging for attention.
Right.
So your listening is giving them the attention, and in their world, nobody's giving them attention. So all of a sudden, you become one of the more important people in their life, even though they've only known you for a minute or two.
Absolutely.
So that right there is such a huge tip that you share with us. And I remember watching you prospect a long time ago at one of the other offices. We're not going to mention the name like that. And I remember you had a script in front of you, and you said, Chadi, it's their job, the people I'm speaking to, it's their job to take me off the script. It's my job to bring them right back to the script. And that goes hand in hand with the listening, because a lot of times we're asking a question and we're getting a response that has absolutely nothing to do with the question that we just asked. And we keep on going because we're not listening.
Right. And here's the other part. If you listen, you might, if we have a script and it's 10 questions, okay, those are all our ammunition, but that doesn't mean that I have to use it on that individual at that time. And, there's a place and time for everything, but people believe that the script is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's not it. It starts with 1, but it might be for this person 4. The next question might be 2. The following question might be 3. So the order changes. But if you don't listen, you will go 1, 2, 3, 4, hang up. Bingo. And that's where you lose it. So 1, 5, 3, 2, 4. You win.
That's so huge.
It's
awesome.
Just music.
Awesome. All right, I got like a few more minutes before I got to get to a coaching call that I got.
Okay.
Before I ask the last question, like the last tip question, I want to make sure people know how to get a hold of you if they want to come work at your firm or send you a referral or anything like that. How do people reach out to you if to at least thank you or reach out to you for whatever reason?
So cell phone number's been the same cell phone number for 15 years. So if you guys have a question, it's area code 909-915-8224. You guys can reach me at Facebook, and that's Jessie.Garcia, Jessie Garcia, on Facebook, or you guys can go to our business page. So if you guys just type in, we're pretty actually well known since on the techie side, but it's Gateway Home Services. So Gateway Home Services, you'll find us on all the platforms. We're a very tight niche group of individuals. I'm more of a working and just being a master at something. And I know for a fact that we have the IE under control. So Riverside, San Bernardino, and Ontario, we're here to stay. And the business model is flawless. It's the McDonald's of real estate. So if you have any questions on what that means, please feel free to reach out.
Beautiful, beautiful. And I me, I'm a big fan of reading. That's how I develop my mindset through, reading, hundreds of books, etc. If you could recommend just one book for someone to go out there, just get that one book that's going to have some nuggets for them to apply and take their business and life to the next level, what one book would you recommend?
This is one.
I went out and just picked up my phone, so give me a second. Let me go through my Audible. Let's see here, my library really quick.
So,
Simon Sinek.
Simon?
Start with Why.
Oh, that's an excellent book and audiobook.
Start with Why.
Sinek would Start with Why. Excellent book. Any final thoughts for our listeners? Anything you want to say?
All I can tell you is if you guys want to save time and if you're in the business, you have to get connected. You have to have a very good support staff. If you're a real estate agent out there where the brokerage is just worried about the brokerage, it's okay, because of the fact that that's maybe where you're stationed at. But there's good brokerages out there that will provide the support that you need. And most importantly, if the support is not there, find a coach. Listen to Chadi. Here's the deal. Why reinvent the wheel? It's already invented. Once again, this business, you have to get in, you have to save time because we don't know when the shift is going to happen.
And
right. And that's the whole point where
what happens is just, a matter of time. And we've been riding this wave right now. So it's just, nobody can predict it, but it will.
Right. So be ready for that shift. And, with knowing someone like myself, someone like Chad, we know because we've been there before. We've already saw the people make millions or make thousands and lose millions. And that's the part of the wheel you don't want to reinvent. When I started, I was 20. I told myself I was going to go 1,000 miles an hour because I was high risk. I had no family. I had no kids. I'm in my 30s now. I got 2 little ones at home. My risk levels now are moderate. And some of us don't have that luxury or that time. We got in the game at 30 years old, so you are going to have to go 1,000 miles an hour if you want to stick around. But staying in the business is the hardest thing, that people are going to come across. Yeah. So get with the coach, get with the program, make sure that you have the good leadership in front of you so that you not only become successful, but you stay successful.
And that's the key because I've seen a lot of successful people who are no longer successful.
Absolutely. So that's pretty much it.
Awesome. Jesse, thank you very much for your time. I really appreciate you. I can't wait to share you with, our audience on, toplistingagentgroup.com. That's our Facebook community.
Yes.
Top Listing Agent Show. So again, man, from the bottom of my heart, I really, really appreciate people like you who not only want to succeed, we're all trying to succeed primarily for our family, but we also want other people to experience what we are experiencing within our family. And thank you, brother.
No, thank you. Thank you. I'll talk to you soon.
Appreciate you. I'll talk to you soon, buddy. Thanks.